Right now on Up with KREM, COVID vaccine round 3 is taking center stage today. The FDA is meeting to make a decision on Pfizer's booster shot. And the hospital crisis around the region continues as Idaho enters crisis standards of care statewide. We're hearing from healthcare workers on the numerous shortages they're facing. And it's move-in day for Eastern Washington University students. Nicole Hernandez is live on campus this morning where students can't even step into their dorm rooms without being tested for COVID first.
And of course, we're going to take you outside. We've got cloud cover to start the day and cloud cover to end the week, and cloud cover taking us into the weekend, but it brings with it some much needed rain.
Up with KREM begins now.
Good morning and thank you for joining us on Up with KREM. I'm Channing Curtis. Hospitals across the region are feeling the effects of rising COVID-19 hospitalizations. Washington hospitals are operating in contingency care, and Idaho entered crisis standards of care statewide. This week, Providence announcing they are pausing all non-emergency surgeries, and now employees are starting to worry about staffing shortages in Washington's healthcare system. Now, nurses unions across the state say current staffing shortages could lead to a collapse of Washington's healthcare system. One local lab technician says the cracks are starting to show as COVID-19 continues to put more and more pressure on hospitals.
We all want to do the best we can, but we're not machines. I thought that we kind of had it figured out. I thought we had protocols, they know what they're doing. They're taking care of us. I've kind of come to realize they're winging it. They're winging it just as bad as everybody else is.
A joint statement from several Washington healthcare unions says hospitals were already understaffed well before the pandemic hit. As of now, there are nearly 36 spots open at Sacred Heart just in hospital management jobs alone. The COVID-19 surge is affecting more than just hospitals in the inland Northwest. Hospice or end-of-life care is also being impacted. The Cook family experienced this firsthand. Bill Cook died from COVID-19 just a couple of days ago. He wasn't vaccinated, and his family requested hospice care. Because of short staffing, though, his family took care of him before his death. Bill's son is now begging everyone in the community to get vaccinated.
It's not a personal choice when you infect somebody who doesn't want to be infected. If you're going to be part of the public, and you choose not to wear a mask, you choose not to get vaccinated, then I'm going to be really harsh here. Stay out of our hospital. Stay out of the hospital because you're taking up space for people that need desperately some help.
Bill was 87 years old. In his final days, he requested to be with his family and not at the hospital. In the meantime, Providence's chief medical officer says because of limited staffing, it's challenging to provide end-of-life care for patients.
We're to the point now where we're so stretched with specialty physicians and nurses, as well as social workers, chaplaincy that provide end-of-life care, that we're struggling to provide, care in the face of death and dying, which is a critically important piece of the whole paradigm of care. And so we're using everybody everywhere that we can.
Okay, so let's take a look at the numbers. Right now, 231 people are hospitalized with COVID-19 in Spokane County alone. The health district is also reporting 296 new cases and one person has died. Now, over in North Idaho, according to the Panhandle Health District, 113 people there are hospitalized with COVID-19. 183 new cases have been reported and 35 deaths. However, we were able to confirm with the health district that the deaths reported yesterday were a backlog of cases. Now, we will continue to have full coverage of the hospital crisis across the inland Northwest on Up with KREM all morning long. But for the very latest information, all you need to do is text the word COVID to 509-448-2000, and we'll send you all of that information right to your phone. All right, the time is now 7:04. Let's go ahead and get a look at the forecast. The sun is coming up. Jeremy Legoo, you're still in your coat though, so that means it must still be a little chilly outside because I know you can handle some cold temperatures. You can handle any extreme weather, so it must be a little chilly out there for you to wear in a coat.
The secret is it's all about the gear. It is always all about the gear when it comes to handling weather. A bit chilly. This is our coldest hour of the day. We have dropped down to 46 degrees here.
We'll get back to weather here in just a bit, but in the meantime, EWU students are moving into their dorms this morning. Our Nicole Hernandez is there on campus to explain what the university is doing to keep their students safe and in the dorms all semester. Good morning, Nicole.
Yeah, like you mentioned, move-in day is happening. Students will be moving into these dorms behind me, and they'll have the weekend to settle in before classes actually start on Wednesday. So EWU says that 960 students will be moving in between today and yesterday. All of them, though, will have to take a rapid COVID-19 test before starting the move-in process. If students test positive for COVID, they will have to go to specific isolation dorms for 10 days. They can also choose to go back home to isolate for those 10 days. EWU is also asking everyone to show proof they're vaccinated. If a student isn't vaccinated, staff will help them either ask for a religious or medical exemption, or they will help the student get their vaccine ASAP. If an unvaccinated student isn't working with the university, they could get a $250 fine. Of course, all of those logistics are to make sure students stay safe and can have class in person. And when we talked to the EWU president last month, when a small portion of their students started classes, he said that as he's been talking to students, they've all been totally okay with these COVID-19 procedures because they're just excited to have class more normal and in person this fall semester. In Cheney, I'm Nicole Hernandez.
It's time now for your morning rush. More news in less time. A bus shortage is impacting students in Spokane public schools. A spokesperson for Durham says this is the greatest bus driver shortage it's ever experienced. Durham is working with Spokane public schools to transport students safely to and from school, and they say they're monitoring their routes on a daily basis. A new Lending Tree study ranks Washington as one of the most expensive states to raise a child. Probably no shocker to parents. According to the study, it costs $22,679 per year to raise a child in the state, with $15,000 going towards infant daycare. Between 2014 and 2019, the cost to raise a child in the U.S. went up by 25%. The International Antique and Classic Boat Show returns to North Idaho this weekend. Over 100 vintage boats will drop anchor in Lake Coeur d'Alene, including a custom boat built for hockey legend Wayne Gretzky.
We have over 100 wood boats coming in from all over the country. So we have people from New York that have taken the time to get their boats across the country just for the show here in Coeur d'Alene, which is so cool.
The show will start at 9 a.m. Friday and Saturday, and the event is free to attend. And a super sweet update to a story we brought you last month. The two dogs up for adoption at Bark, a rescue pub, have found their forever home. You might remember Cosmo and Spinach. They were on the show earlier last month. Now they have both been adopted by a loving couple, and Cosmo will be able to get her leg surgery that she desperately needs very soon. Now again, they were on our show and Bark was featured for Restaurant Week, and they were such an adorable pair of doggos. Sadly, their previous owner had passed away, and so we're very glad that they finally found a family to take them in. Now that's your Morning Rush. More news in less time. Let us know what's happening in your neighborhood by using the hashtag #UpWithKREM on social media. All right, Jeremy, you're inside right now. I think things got a little too chilly out there for you. You had to bring it on in.
No, I don't know. I actually don't know what happened, but hey, we are in here now, and well, let's pick up where we left off. Temperatures staying in the mid to upper 40s right now. It's a little bit cooler this morning. Sandpoint at 36, and this is about as cold as we get throughout the day today. We've got that cloud cover moving in, a couple of isolated showers off to the north. Very similar to what we saw last time this kind of thing moved in. A lot of this falls apart before it reaches us as it moves through the dry center portion of the state. A little bit of activity in northern portions of the region, and that's really about it this afternoon. A bulk of our moisture arrives tomorrow, and as that moves in, we have the decent chance of picking up some serious widespread moisture, even more than we saw last go round when we picked up that 1/4 of an inch. So today, kind of a narrow miss on the rain. We have temperatures climbing into the upper 60s later on this afternoon. We hang on to the cloud cover all day, but this weekend, it's looking cool and wet both Saturday and Sunday.
With the Delta variant impacting more and more children, a lot of you have reached out to us to ask if minors need their parents' consent to get vaccinated in the state of Washington.
As a child, a minor in the state of Washington, do they need their parents' consent to get a vaccine, specifically the COVID vaccine?
Yeah, so for all vaccines, generally the answer is yes, they need parent consent if they are under 18.
Coming up a little later in the newscast, we'll verify when a minor can get care like a vaccine without their parents' consent. And Hispanic Heritage Month started this week. This morning, we're taking a closer look at one of the oldest Hispanic communities in Washington. It's coming up in our next half hour. Also, a major story that we're following today, COVID vaccine boosters. The FDA is meeting today to make a decision on Pfizer's booster shot. What you need to know ahead of their big meeting after the break.